Before I begin, I want to take a moment to briefly praise the speakers before me. Listening to Aaron and Matthew through storytelling and music made me realize how many different ways there are to understand and express our world. And sitting here, listening to all that, I had one thought. I am definitely the dumbest person in this room. And it's not because I have imposter syndrome or anything like that, but because each and every one of you has endless knowledge and experience I can learn from. And for the past 4 years, that has been true of every single room I've been in. And I couldn't be happier about it. You see, for the first 15 years of my life, school was easy. I was born and raised in southern Mexico, and I breezed through every assignment, aced every test, and I graduated middle school with a perfect GPA since kindergarten, as some of you in this room probably did. As ambitious as I was, I went to talk to my school counselor about studying in the US. She shocked me when she said, "Sweetie, you're good, but you can't compete with the Americans. And if you go, you'll pop like kettle corn." Now, I was pretty mad. I thought I was smart, so why wouldn't that be true if I moved? It turns out she was 100% right. I did pop like kettle corn. Now, when I get overwhelmed, it helps me to write things down. And what started as a journal to practice my English is now a collection of my thoughts from the time that I moved. Exact snapshots of the time I went from being the smartest kid in the room to the dumbest. Let me read you a few. September 3rd, 2021. I think I understood 40% of English class today. I don't understand how I've read so many books, watched so many movies, yet the moment someone starts speaking, it's like my brain glitches. Everyone laughed at a joke today, and I laughed too. 3 seconds late. I'm afraid people are starting to notice. Suddenly, I wasn't fluent, not just in the language, but in the rules. People spoke faster, teachers expected participation, everything felt like it was zooming past me, and for the first time in my life, I wasn't answering anything. I understood nothing. October 11th, 2021, my first math test came back. 47%. 47. That's not a score, that's a cry for help. The teacher wrote, "Come see me after class," and I'm not sure if that's academic or spiritual advice. Shortly after that, I essentially shut down. I sat at the back of the class, never spoke up. My pride essentially bullied my curiosity into silence. I knew what I had to give wasn't good enough. So what was the point of trying? Then came the student-teacher conferences. I dreaded them for weeks, and I braced myself to get out of there as fast as possible. It was when I was reviewing an essay with one of my teachers, and I was pestering him with endless questions about what went wrong, that he stopped me and said, "Instead of going in blind, looking for mistakes, what if we just talk it out?" What followed was a near 2-hour conversation where I realized 2 things. First, I did deserve a bad grade. I'd never had grammar lessons before. It was my first time writing an argument in English, and I was years behind my classmates in terms of writing skills. Despite that, the second thing I thought about was how much fun I'd had, how genuinely fascinating I found the topic, and without the pressure of a grade, I just loved listening. It was a hard reality to face that I was way behind everyone else. I had similar meetings with my math and science teachers that showed that despite my excellence back home, I had these really wide knowledge gaps. But the excitement I felt that first day led me to the very simple conclusion that I just love learning. So my only solution was to fill my days with it, until I was proud of the work that I did. December 11th, 2021. Today I asked my first question in class. My voice cracked like a preteen voice, but I did it. I think why has become my most used word because I'm permanently confused. Those classmates that I had been so intimidated by turned out to be some of the most brilliant people I know. And many, many lunch dates later, they agreed to help me catch up in school. And painfully slowly, my grades started going up. February 16th, 2022. I asked the teacher for help 5 times today. If she hasn't blocked my email by now, I'm genuinely surprised. At this point, I was essentially crowdsourcing my education from everyone, friends, family. I mean, I had watched so many Khan Academy videos, I had to get YouTube Premium. But this was my turning point. I realized I had been so wrapped up in proving that I was smart, I had forgotten to actually learn anything. Now, I listened to my classmates, and all of them were smarter than me. But that meant all of them had something I could learn from. I stopped caring about my grades. If I'm being honest, it took a long time for the A's to come. But perfection wasn't the goal anymore. I just wanted to be proud of the work I turned in. I wasn't the perfect student. Now I was just a learner. Because being dumb is kind of like a superpower. Because you do 3 things that almost no one else does. First, you fall in love with the learning. Because when you know nothing, you're excited to learn everything. When you look at problems, you look at them deeper. Because again, you're dumb and you know nothing. Second, you're not afraid to use every resource. I didn't magically stop getting bad grades. But now I was at every single office hours, emailing my teachers, and getting real familiar with those Khan voiceovers. Now, all of you by now have encountered a subject that doesn't come naturally to you, where you had to try harder to succeed. But that's not what I mean. What I'm referring to is a core value change, where you approach every subject like it's fascinating. If you want to try this, start by asking yourself, what would someone with nothing to lose do right now? They'd raise their hand. They'd ask the dumb questions. They'd stay after class. But more importantly, they'd try again. Third, my identity completely changed. If I wasn't the smart one anymore, then I wasn't afraid of going over problems again and again. I wasn't afraid to understand things slowly. And in my case, I wasn't afraid to take the SAT 7 times. For me, shifting my self-worth away from natural intelligence made failure a part of my learning and not something to fear. And this isn't just my experience. A study by psychologists Dweck and Mueller found that when people are focused on proving their competency, they take way fewer risks. Because real learning happens when we are willing to look unfinished. And this discomfort is nearly universal. Natalie Portman said when she got to Harvard, she was sure there had been a mistake. Neil deGrasse Tyson has talked about how uncomfortable grad school was for him. And even Einstein struggled early on, feeling overlooked. They all had moments where they could have decided they didn't belong, but they stayed. Because being the smartest is comfortable, but nothing changes there. Being the dumbest is deeply uncomfortable. But that's where real learning happens. But you have to push yourself to be in bigger rooms, harder ones to walk into. My strategy of being the dumbest in the room hasn't changed. It just shows up in different ways. Sometimes it's walking into a job where you have no idea how things work. Sometimes it's joining a team where everyone is fairer than you. It's being the least fit, the least experienced, the least confident. Because the people who keep growing aren't the ones who feel ready. They're the ones willing to feel uncomfortable and stay. You can try to prove that you belong, or you can listen to everyone around you who is better than you. In a world that values prodigies and people whose success seems effortless, it makes struggle feel wrong. But for me, being the dumbest in the room has made my love of learning and not my intelligence the thing I'm proud of. To be honest, I haven't stopped struggling on the daily sometimes. But that means that I've found smarter people to be around, harder rooms to be in, and that makes me really happy. So, be curious enough to listen, be brave enough to learn, and humble enough to be the dumbest in the room. Thank you.